The phone call came at 7:18 a.m. French president's office. Urgent. Emmanuel Macron wanted to speak with Keir Starmer immediately. Starmer took the call, expecting diplomatic pleasantries. Two European leaders, center-left allies, shared values. Instead, Macron delivered an ultimatum. Your fishing boats have 48 hours to leave French waters. After that, we will seize them. No negotiation, no discussion, just a threat. Starmer tried responding. Mr. President, we can resolve this through proper channels. Macron interrupted. You want proper channels? You left the EU. These are the consequences. 48 hours. The line went dead. Britain's relationship with France carefully rebuilt after Brexit chaos had just collapsed. And Emmanuel Macron was about to teach Keir Starmer a brutal lesson about what happens when you negotiate from weakness. How did it get here? July 2024, Labour won power, promising to reset relations with Europe. Starmer's pitch. We won't rejoin the EU, but we'll rebuild trust, repair relationships, make Brexit work. Emmanuel Macron welcomed this publicly praised Starmer's election, invited him to Paris, spoke about new partnership, photo opportunities everywhere, warm handshakes, friendly press conferences. Starmer thought he'd found an ally. He misread the situation completely. Because Macron wasn't being friendly, he was being strategic. France had been humiliated by Brexit, lost influence, lost trade, lost prestige. Macron wanted payback. And Starmer, eager to please, desperate for European approval, was the perfect target. August 2024, first signs of trouble. Britain requested new trade arrangements, minor adjustments to post-Brexit deals, nothing major. France blocked them, not publicly, not dramatically, just quiet bureaucratic obstruction. These proposals need further study. French concerns must be addressed first. Timeline uncertain. Starmer's team was confused. I thought Macron wanted partnership. They didn't understand. Macron wanted something else entirely. British submission. September 2024, fishing dispute erupted. British boats operating in historically shared waters, now technically French post-Brexit but practically disputed. France announced new licensing requirements, impossible to meet, designed to exclude British fishermen. UK protested, France ignored. Starmer requested urgent talks with Macron. Request declined. The president's very busy, perhaps in a few weeks. Translation: You're not a priority, deal with it. October 2024, energy crisis hit. Britain needed European electricity interconnectors. France controlled access. Macron announced maintenance requirements that would reduce UK capacity by 40% in winter, when Britain needed it most. Starmer begged for reconsideration, offered concessions, promised cooperation. Macron's response: France must prioritize French energy security. The maintenance proceeded. British electricity prices spiked, and Macron smiled for cameras while British families paid the price. November 2024, immigration became the weapon. Small boats crossing the Channel, issue plaguing Britain for years. Starmer asked France to increase patrols, stop departures, work together. Macron agreed, publicly, with conditions. Britain must pay more, much more. 500 million euros annually. 3 times what previous government paid, Starmer agreed. Desperate for results, the money was paid, the boats kept coming. France wasn't stopping them. Why would they? Every migrant crossing to UK was one fewer in France. Every boat was British problem, not French. Macron had discovered something delicious. He could promise cooperation, take British money, deliver nothing, and Starmer would keep paying. December 2024, Northern Ireland became the battlefield. Brexit's Irish protocol complicated, contentious, barely functional. France held veto power over any EU changes. UK proposed modifications, reasonable, fair, supported by Ireland. France vetoed. No explanation, no negotiation, just no. Starmer requested emergency meeting. Macron was unavailable. The pattern was unmistakable. France was systematically blocking British interests, not because of policy disagreements, because they could. January 2025. Macron made his strategy explicit. French newspaper interview, carefully orchestrated. Britain chose to leave Europe. That choice has consequences. We are not obligated to make Brexit comfortable for them. Perhaps they should have thought about that before voting to leave. The subtext was clear. You humiliated us, now we're returning the favor. Starmer tried responding diplomatically. We respect France's position, but hope for constructive partnership. Macron heard weakness and attacked harder. February 2025, trade war escalated. France imposed new safety standards on British goods, standards that only British products somehow failed. Cheese blocked, wine delayed, machinery rejected, billions in trade disrupted. UK businesses begged Starmer for help. He promised to raise it with Macron. He did. Macron ignored him, because what could Britain actually do? Economic retaliation? France was bigger, stronger, protected by EU, political pressure. Macron was popular at home, didn't care about British opinion. Military threat? Absurd between NATO allies. Starmer had no leverage. Macron knew it and exploited it ruthlessly. March 2025. Defense cooperation collapsed. Joint patrols canceled. Intelligence sharing reduced. Military exercises postponed. All French decisions. All deliberate. Starmer asked why. Macron cited resource constraints. Britain's closest European military partner was abandoning them. And why? Because Macron was teaching a lesson. Without Europe, you're alone. April 2025 financial sector attack began. Paris launched aggressive campaign to steal London's financial services. Tax breaks for relocating firms, regulatory advantages, political support. Paris is the new financial capital of Europe. London is yesterday's news. Some firms moved, not many, but enough. Each relocation celebrated in French media as Brexit consequence. Macron was systematically dismantling London's advantages and enjoying it. May 2025, then came the fishing ultimatum. The phone call that started this story. 48 hours. Leave French waters or be seized. Starmer tried diplomacy. We need to negotiate this properly. Macron's response leaked to press. Britain is no longer our equal partner. They are a third country. We owe them nothing. The humiliation was public, deliberate, devastating. Starmer called emergency COBR meeting. Options presented. Comply with French demands. Total humiliation. Keep boats in disputed waters, risk French military action. Escalate to international arbitration. Years of legal warfare. All options terrible. Starmer chose compliance. Ordered British boats to withdraw. The fishermen were furious. You've surrendered our waters without a fight. Farage was ecstatic. This is what happens when you elect a weak prime minister. Conservative opposition demanded Starmer's resignation. He's capitulated to France. And Macron released statement expressing appreciation for Britain's reasonableness. Translation: Starmer just bent the knee. I win. June 2025. The pattern was complete. Every negotiation, France won. Every dispute, Britain lost. Every confrontation, Starmer backed down. Macron had systematically demonstrated that post-Brexit Britain was weak, isolated, vulnerable, and he'd done it while maintaining diplomatic politeness, always smiling, always reasonable sounding, always winning. July 2025, 1 year since Labour's victory. Starmer had promised to make Brexit work and reset European relations. Instead, fishing rights surrendered, trade disrupted energy security, compromised financial services bleeding to Paris, immigration cooperation, a failure, defense partnership collapsed, every British interest damaged, every promise broken, and France, stronger, richer, more influential, partially because they weakened Britain. August 2025. Macron's interview twisted the knife. Asked about UK-France relations. We have a cordial relationship. But Britain must understand they chose to leave. They chose isolation. We are simply respecting their choice. Perfect diplomatic language. Devastating political message. You chose Brexit. This is what it looks like. Starmer tried responding. We're committed to European partnership despite not being EU members. Macron's office leaked response. Partnership requires equals. Britain is a supplicant, not a partner. The contempt was naked now. September 2025. British public opinion turned. Not against France, against Starmer. Why is he letting Macron walk all over us? Why doesn't he fight back? This is embarrassing. Even Labour voters were furious. Starmer looked weak, ineffective, humiliated, and Macron kept pressing advantages because he could. October 2025, new crisis emerged. Channel Tunnel faced urgent maintenance. French side, French decision. Capacity reduced 60%, just before Christmas travel season. Britain protested. France shrugged. Starmer requested emergency talks. Macron was traveling. The tunnel restrictions proceeded. British travelers stranded. Businesses disrupted. Macron's message: even your physical connection to Europe, we control it. November 2025. Starmer tried one last diplomatic push. Formal request for bilateral summit. Serious issues to resolve. High-level commitment. Macron agreed, finally. The summit was scheduled. Starmer prepared extensively. Hope for breakthrough. The meeting lasted 35 minutes. Macron was polite. Listen. Promised to consider British concerns. Then left for lunch with German Chancellor. Starmer flew home empty-handed. The humiliation was complete. December 2025, polling showed catastrophic numbers. Do you think Starmer has handled France well? Yes, 18%. No, 71%. Is Britain's position in the world weaker under Starmer? Yes, 64%. No, 23%. The public had decided. Starmer was a failure on the world stage. And Macron? French polling showed 73% approval for his strong stance with Britain. He was winning domestically by beating Britain internationally. December 21st, 2025 today. Emmanuel Macron sits in Élysée Palace, planning next moves against Britain. Not because of policy necessity, because it's politically profitable. Every British concession makes him look strong. Every Starmer retreat makes him look decisive. He's using Britain as a punching bag to boost French prestige. And Starmer can't stop him. Because Britain left the EU without a plan for what came next. Because Starmer negotiates from weakness, not strength. Because Macron understands power, and Starmer doesn't. The cameras turned to Paris Emmanuel Macron at a press conference, politely devastating British interests while smiling for photographs. The cameras turned to London Keir Starmer in number 10, unable to defend British interests, watching France win every battle. 2 leaders, 1 relationship, complete imbalance of power. Who wins this war? The French president exploiting every British weakness, or the British prime minister who keeps hoping diplomacy will work? The answer is obvious. Macron wins, Starmer loses, Britain suffers. And the lesson? Brexit without strength is just isolation. Diplomacy without leverage is just begging. And Emmanuel Macron isn't Britain's friend. He's Britain's reminder that leaving Europe has consequences. And under Keir Starmer, those consequences are devastating. The fishing boats have left French waters. The trade is disrupted. The energy is cut. The humiliation is complete. And Macron? Just getting started. Because revenge is sweet, especially when the target can't fight back.